Hey guys, so I wanted to do a quick video response to a person. Right now, I am so blissfully busy with work, which is so great that I am not able to really do any like videos right now of me spending time writing and such. Excuse me, sorry, I have a heat pad on my back. I seriously knotted my back last week and it still hurts. I need a massage so bad. Anyway, and so I don't really have time right now to really write anything, but what I do want to do is at least respond to questions that you guys have. So feel free to ask me stuff. Yeah, so this one of our new subscribers is just really starting on their path of like inhabiting themselves, which is really great. Such a brave step. So impressed. And they just have some questions about kind of like my story, my personal story, and what I've learned along specifically the last decade that I've been doing all this kind of real intentional work on myself and stuff. So I'm just going to answer questions and see what happens. So yeah, I don't have anything planned or written out. So, prepare for me to babble a little bit. So, all right. So the first question that they have is, so how did you get through doubting yourself? Okay. Well, first off, I haven't. I still do. Like that is something that I don't, that is, and I think the thing too is that there's no like, I don't think you ever arrive when it comes to inhabiting yourself. I think you get better. I think you have moments where you do inhabit yourself and then a lot of moments when you don't. I think that it's a lifelong struggle because we have pulses and we're humans. I mean, really, I don't think that anyone ever like arrives, so just knowing that should hopefully help you to kind of relax a little and not, think that you are so far away from being able to become better at being yourself, or being in touch with yourself. So anyway, so how I handle my self-doubt, it's gotten a lot easier. It really is a muscle. All of this, honestly, handling your feelings, handling your thoughts, it is all 100% just like any other skill that we have in our lives. If we want to get into shape in the gym, you go to the gym, you work out, it's the same thing. It's a daily discipline of allowing yourself to choose to think differently, to feel differently, and things like that. And you have the power to do that. That is the one thing I have learned. And it's phenomenal, but it takes time. So, anyway, so how I get through my self-doubt is, I'm very aware of myself at this point. Like I've learned to sit with my feelings a little bit more. So when I start to self-doubt, I know because I start to stress out, I start to feel guilty. I start to feel bad at myself. I still have moments of self-rage. I totally do. And so what I've learned to do is just step by step, slowly develop the skill of being aware of when I feel that way and going, ew, I'm feeling that negative way. I don't want to feel that way. What's going on? And I pause and I like listen to myself and I listen to the little inner voice in me, and I know that voice, and that voice is my ego or sinful nature or whatever you want to classify it, for yourself. And I know that is, and I listen to it and I go, okay, what is this message I'm telling myself? And is it true, really? Or is it just fear? Am I afraid? And is my fear even truthful? Is it even rational? And majority of the time it's not. Majority of the time I'm fearing, or I'm thinking about things, or I'm wondering if I can do something, when it's like, April, you don't know until you try. You don't know, like you have to. So it takes time. It really takes time to just slowly, work through one little self-doubt at a time, like, for example, I've been taking improv classes actually, for 3 hours a week on Sundays, for the last 5 months. For the first 3 months of it, I would just keep showing up. I just keep doing it. And deep down, I was like, I suck at this. This is so not my thing. I can't do it. And of course I had lots of self-doubt, which of course played out in my performances with my classmates, and stuff. And so, and I could tell I was one of the worst in the class, and I'd always feel bad and all that kind of stuff. And so I would take time to just like listen to myself in that and go like, why am I doubting myself? Like, why am I doubting my skills? How is that affecting the way I perform? It's like, well, yeah, because I'm getting in the way of myself because I'm doubting myself. And I'm like, is that even reality? And it's like, no, it's not. Yeah, okay, I'm not as great as some of these people who are actors. Of course not. But do I have some humor? Yeah. Do I have ability to perform? Yeah. So can I just enjoy that? Yeah. So let's just enjoy that. So it's really taking time every day to learn to just get quiet and listen to yourself, and to then overcome just one little self-doubt thought at a time. And eventually you build the muscles, you build the ability to do that. And it's amazing. And it's the same with the rage. It's the same with the rage. It's, when I still have my moments where I am so pissed at myself because of something that I'm like, it's a situation that I've got myself into, or something that I should have known, I should have done differently, but I didn't, it's going, okay, wait a minute. Like, is this really justified, this rage at me? And to really ask myself that question, and to sit and just kind of let myself just like, even just acknowledge and be aware of it. And, it's a discipline. It takes time and skill. And I'm glad that for you, subscriber, that you're in therapy and that you're working through that kind of stuff, and you will develop those skills. It just takes time. And it's a skill. This is not just something that it's like, oh, you either have it or you don't. You have it in you. You just have to work at it to get that skill to come out. Those were the skills that we were supposed to learn from our parents, and we didn't. So we have to learn those skills now, but you totally can, I promise. You just have to stick it out. So, yeah. Okay. So they also go on to ask, how have you gotten through thinking that you are no longer a horrible person with no empathy, assuming you did feel that way? Oh, I totally felt that way. Oh, of course. Absolutely. Because that was like the lie that was implied to me through my mom. My mom, oh my gosh, are you kidding? Like, of course, I think every adult child of an untreated borderline struggles with that, thinking that they really are a horrible person that's completely self-centered, because we didn't make our moms the center of our world. And so, of course, our moms taught us that we were horrible people, that were self-centered, which is completely a lie. Anyway, but the problem is that we believe that. And because we believe that in us, we have to work through that ourselves. So we have to learn to think that we're not a horrible person with no, and that we do have empathy and we do care, but we can also take care of ourselves. And that, again, is just a little discipline skill that you just have to work at every day, like of doing like little things to take care of yourself, or, gosh, one of the biggest things I think that helps me out is when I take care of me in a motherly way. When I love on myself. So when I'm having like a rough morning, like I did this morning I woke up and I was feeling tired, and I think I've just been pushing myself so hard with work lately. I was just exhausted, and I woke up and I opened up my email, and like I've got just like a half dozen questions from my team, and it's just stuff I'm like, look, you know the answer. You do not need my help. Yes, I was already in an irritable place, and normally then when I'm irritable, like I'm going to get mad at myself and do that. Like, I'm a bad person. My team's just simply asking me questions and listen to me acting like a brat, blah, 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 blah. And what I did is instead I stopped and went, wait, what's going on, April? And I kind of just saw myself as a little kid going like, why are you so irritable? Let's talk to myself in a really nice, gentle way. What's making you irritable? Like, well, I'm tired. I really want my coffee before I do email because I don't want to be doing this right now. And it's like, okay then, let's take care of you. What do you need? And so honestly, I spent the morning doing other things that I really wanted to do. I cooked, I listened to good music, I messaged with some friends, online. Like, I'm like, okay, then this is what you need to do for yourself. Let's honor that. Let's honor me, and that's where I have, those little things have helped me to overcome just slowly the whole deep sense of self-hatred that I have. But I still have moments where I still have that self-hatred. But now I know that when I have those feelings, at this point, I actually know now that they are a lie and that they are actually just merely a reaction that's coming out of something else that I just need to pay attention to in myself. So really, I believe fully that as you go through more therapy and things like that, you're going to learn how to tune into yourself, listen to yourself, take care of yourself, and to actually do action items that are going to love yourself and value yourself. And over time, it's just going to build and grow and get better. And there are going to be times and there are going to be months, maybe even years where you're like, dude, I'm not getting any better, and that usually means that there's something really big that you're like not addressing like I have. I think for me, something that I have not done a great job at all addressing is like my financial situation. And so after, a while, like it's been like, wow, like this has really turned into an issue that I'm not going to get better until I face this. I'm not going to get better until I work through this, and now I am, and it's hard and it's scary and it's stressful and I'm beating up on myself, it's opening up this new door of problems in my life, but it's good, because at least I've given myself enough time working on myself that I'm like, okay, I know I don't want to do this, but I know I have to, and I will, because I deserve it and I value myself now more than ever. I don't value myself all the time, but I value myself more consistently than I used to, so anyway, and so the subscriber goes on to write, I'm finding that I naturally don't have any relationships because I'm a difficult person to be around. Honestly, I bet that the more you learn to love yourself, the more you come to see yourself in a positive way instead of a negative way, the more you will naturally connect in relationships. I know that's for me the case since, one of the biggest reasons why, like, for example, for me, I've financially struggled is because I haven't valued myself enough. And so I've been really working on that in my personal life of like personally valuing myself more, doing things that shows to my taking care of myself more, through my sleep, my eating, just basic stuff, like giving myself a break when I need to, and really also doing some really cool books and, kind of like meditations and things like that help me really to work on believing that I value myself and focusing in on those thoughts as opposed to thinking about like the negative thoughts that I used to think about. And so because of that, I have been naturally valuing myself more, and therefore my finances are getting better because I'm now conveying to people more confidently what I'm worth. I'm firing clients who don't value me enough. It's good. It's good. I think the same thing will happen with you with relationships. The more you learn to value yourself, the more you learn to believe and like yourself, the more likable you're going to be to people in general. Because there's this whole vibe that we give off to people that we're not aware of, but other people pick up on. And it's the vibe that is like what we believe about ourselves. What we believe about ourselves is how other people treat us, And so I think that as you, like I said, as you heal yourself, as you come to love yourself a little bit more and more, at a time, I think you're going to find that you're going to connect with people better. So, yeah. I do want to feel empathy and not think of people in terms of myself, but at the same time, I've done so much apologizing for my emotions and so much repressing of them. Yeah, it sounds like you're just in this place where you're just needing to like open up and allow yourself the ability to just cry and to grieve and to let out this pain. And that's where therapy is a safe place for you to do that, which is great. And it sounds like what you're doing, because you said, and now I'm in therapy where I'm regressing to places that don't even have words as descriptions. See, that I think then like that's exactly where, that's such a good thing. I know it is so hard. I remember when I first started going to therapy for my eating disorder, it only made my eating disorder worse. It didn't make it better. Talking about our pain creates more pain at times, that's actually a normal thing, and I think that you have to allow yourself to go through that normal phase of the grieving process in order to heal, so just hang in there. Just know that you're not going to be in this place forever, so, and now I'm in therapy where I'm regressing to places that don't even have words as descriptions. It is so tough to find balance, and it's so tough to realize you're not alone. It's so, oh gosh, I so remember what that was like. I just remember I felt like, I think for 8 months, I came out of my therapy sessions and I would just feel worse than better. I would feel like shit. It was so hard, it was so painful. And there were so many times where I'm like, what am I doing? I'm making myself worse than better. This isn't better. This is worse, And I remember trying to turn to my friends and it all, and bless their hearts, they are just like, this is way too much. They would try, but man, bless their hearts, it was intense. I was intense, I had so much crap coming out of me from my past and the pain from my family and so much grief. So I totally get that. Yeah, it's so hard to find balance. It is. And right now, maybe that's just not realistic. Maybe it's not realistic for you to find balance, whatever that means. I mean, obviously you need to be going to work. You need to be keeping up with your responsibilities, but maybe beyond that, maybe for a while your life is changing because you're letting this stuff out. And I think maybe for right now, balance isn't a word that you should really have, maybe you need to just, right now, maybe it's more grace, and finding grace for yourself right now through this and, and such, because there's just no way, to be able to keep up with your life when you've got so much pain that you've got to work out and work through, so, and it's so tough to realize that you're not alone. Oh, it so is. It's so tough. It's so tough. Even now, gosh, I still struggle, with not feeling alone in my stuff. And I do this channel, and I still struggle with still at times going I'm so alone. And it's no, there's so many things. And then that's when you guys send an email or someone subscribes and I'm like, wow, no, I'm not alone. I'm not alone in all of this. But I know that feeling is a normal feeling. It's a common feeling that we all have. And it's a lie. And so it's my choice to believe it or to not. And it's my choice to either believe and embrace that lie and embrace being alone, or to choose to think differently and go, no, that's not true. And I'm going to deal with that. So that way I can change my feelings and think that I am connected to other people, that I'm not alone, and or just that I'm just a normal person who feels alone at times, you know. And I would have to say that, and I think I've said this in another video, that was probably one of the biggest ahas that I ever had in my entire 5 years of therapy, was when I finally figured out that I actually was a normal person who just has doubt. I'm a normal person who feels alone at times. I'm a normal person who has those things, you know. And I know that if you continue to work through your therapy, let the grief out, let yourself heal, that you will at some point discover, you know, you may very well discover that you are just a normal person too, who just has these emotions, you know, and that it's okay to feel scared. It's okay to feel, you know, unsure of yourself. It's all about how we choose to deal with it and how we choose to work through it from there, you know. So yeah, it really is true. How you put on your thoughts and your feelings is just like how you put on your clothes every day. It's you make the decisions on what you're going to think about, what you're going to focus on. Am I going to focus on my past? Am I going to focus on what I struggle with or what I lack? Or am I going to choose to focus in on what's good about me? Am I going to choose to focus on what I have in my life that I can be so grateful for? You know, that's the stuff. We have the choice, you know, but when you're first starting out, you don't even know that. And I totally get it. So just know that at some point you will actually feel like you really do have a choice in how you think about things. And that's an incredible power and gift and skill that we all have. And we just have to heal and to the point where we can actually believe that and actually do that. So anyway, let's see here. I'm trying to find a distance between not alone, which I am at this point as I create distance between myself, my family, and many masks I used to wear. Good for you. Like, yeah, honestly, like, I think the best way to tune into yourself is when you create distance between you and specifically the toxic, unhealthy people in our lives, the people who aren't comfortable with us being who we are, you know, and such. So yeah. What did you do when the masks started to come off and there isn't necessarily a you there? When the masks come off and I, you know, when my masks started to come off, which was 10 years ago, and even still, they're still coming off. They're still there, you know, to an extent. I still struggle with it at times, for sure. I'm like not masking myself to be what other people wanted. Yeah, it's a scary place. You feel vulnerable. You feel exposed. You know, you feel unsure. You feel weak. But that's such a good place to be, because that's the only place you have to get to that point in order for you to know who you are, in order for you to know, you know, and I think the big thing is that you have to trust the process. You have to trust that if you take off the masks, your heart, mind, body, spirit, you know, your higher power, you know, will show you who you are, that you will learn who you are. Even if it just starts with the most simple things, like what movies do you really like? What movies do you really connect with? You know, what are things that you liked when you were a kid? You know, doing those things again, you know, like just those little things to kind of get to know you, will happen. Because I mean, bottom line is that your inner self, yourself wants you to know yourself. That's why it's doing this. That's why it's so uncomfortable, because it's crying out like, please know me. You know, so you have to trust and relax in that, and know that if you relax and you just trust and you give yourself time and space and patience and grace, you will start to know yourself. Like, things will start to come up, you know, and stuff. You know, kind of going back, you know, like I've been, you know, taking these improv classes, and you know, in the last 5 months, and And I remember when I was trying to decide 6 months ago what I was going to do, I was like, I'm ready to do something new. I'm ready to try something out. I want to do something I've never done before, or something I've always wanted to do. And I'm like, what is that? And I needed like a good month to figure that out. Like, yeah, I'd research things, I'd check things out. And then I just remember one day I was letting YouTube just kind of play in the background. And all of a sudden this documentary about Carol Burnett came on. And just something in my heart just leaped. And I just sat up in bed, and I was just like, I want to do something funny. I want to do something funny. I want to do a funny activity. And I just went, I'm going to try improv. I'm going to take a class, and I did research, found out that there was a class for just $99 in my town, for 2 months. And that's what I've been doing ever since, So, I think you just have to give yourself time and space, so yeah. How did you manage to live on your own? Well, I'm naturally an independent person. And I think that growing up with a mom who was so dependent only made me sharpen that independence. And so, yeah, so I've always been on my own. And that's actually my problem, is I'm too independent. And so asking for help is really been something that I need to do more and do better job of. So actually my problem is the opposite, in that way. And how did you know what was connecting with yourself and what was self-sabotage? I don't think you know at first. I don't think you even know at first. I think after a while you learn what is, like, just like as a parent, you learn like what is you punishing, a child versus helping a child, but it's growth pains, growing pains. So I think it just takes time to know, and honestly, even now, gosh, I still go through that where I'll be thinking where I'm sitting through something, like, for example, like my business, I've been going through this difficult season. This first quarter just did not turn out the way I thought it would. It's really hard. And so part of me is like, am I just being bullheaded and stubborn with this business by holding on to it? Am I sabotaging myself, or am I doing what's right and just needing to trust and believe that this next quarter will be better? And I didn't know. I didn't know how to answer that for a while. I don't think that's something that you can even instantly know. And I don't think especially adult children of untreated borderlines know that. I think we have to give ourselves time to figure that out, and go like, what, I'm going to sit in this for a month or 3 and figure it out. And figure out if I'm being just stubborn and bullheaded or if I'm taking care of myself. Because I don't really know at the moment. And that's okay. That's normal. It really is. So, yeah. Yeah. So there you go. There's my answering your half dozen questions and stuff. And hopefully for the rest of you, this has been maybe helpful too. Just know that you're not alone. We all struggle. We all are just trying to do life the best we can. And all we can do is just one day at a time, try to do things a little bit better, celebrate when we have even the littlest of successes, and give ourselves grace because when we don't meet the standards that we want to meet in life, because frankly, no one meets the standards that they want of life, because we're all human and we all have our struggles, and we always will, but we can definitely get more comfortable with them. And I think the more we get comfortable with ourselves and our flaws and our tendencies, I honestly think the less power they have in our lives, the less they affect our lives, and therefore the more we can inhabit ourselves and be who we really are. So anyway, you have a good day.